Hello and welcome. Thank you very much. Today we are going to discuss a very important part of safety that's called hazard. It's not called hazard, it's called hazard. Actually, hazard is an adjective and noun both. So while you are pronouncing the word, we have to take care. It's called hazard. Okay, hazard in the safety field, risk and hazards both are very pivotal and very important part of safety to be understood by the safety professional. So actually I was teaching occupational health and safety, evolution of occupational health and safety, but I thought that this concept is also linked with occupational health and safety. So it's important to know that how hazards work and what is the definition of hazards and how it is going to interlink with all occupational health and safety professionals and working professional work sites and location. So in concise, there is a short definition of hazard. Hazard is obvious and visible. You can say, suppose a cable is lying on the ground, protruding nail is looking on the ground, or even though the surface is slippery, is called hazard. Okay, so the definition, something, we can go with the definition, something potential, very famous definition, and all we know, something potential to cause harm is called hazard. Something potential to cause harm is called hazard. What is called harm? Harm can be physical, biological, environmental. Okay, so harm can be physical, biological, environmental, or property, or any assets. Assets can be damaged also. Okay, so the harm can impact on physical, biological, environmental, and assets. So anything can be affected, like physically I can be injured, somebody can injured, biologically somebody can be like exposed to chemicals and biological hazards. We will go in details, but just only briefly I am explaining here. Environment also impact because of some chemicals. Suppose every day in our cities, our homeland, we are using detergent, soap, so many things, to take showers in the morning, and it is going through the small canals and like we can say drainage to the river. So it is also getting polluted. So we are impacting environment also. Assets, like any property can be damaged too. So this harm can be either impact physical, biological, environment, or assets. So that's called something potential. Potential means we can say severity, or it has power. That's called potential to cause harm is called hazard. Something potential to cause harm is called hazard. Okay, so now we will discuss that how we can identify hazards. And I see that professionals, those who are doing assessment, risk assessment, HIP, hazard identification, or hazard management, they are always doing the mistakes while they are doing this practice, because they cannot identify the potential hazards related to the work. Okay, so like lifting, manual handling, excavation, scaffolding, erection, so this type of like welding activity, fit up activity, whatever you are doing, so they have all these potential hazards. So let's go for the classifications of hazards. Why I brought this point here, before going to occupational health and safety detail, we need to know about what is hazards. Okay, so let's go further. Okay, so you can see here the hazard has been classified. Occupational health and hazards have been classified in 5 points. You can see 5 points. What are the 5? Let's discuss here. 5 categories of occupational health and safety hazard. Okay, chemical. This is very, very important part. This is called chemical hazard. Chemical hazard. Okay, so what is chemical? You can see dust is also chemical, fiber is also part of that, gases, vapors, and associated hazards are called chemical. Okay, how dust is chemical, but because if you are going in detail in the next video, we will explain to you. I will explain to you about dust, type of dust, and cloud explosion. All details we will study about it. Okay, so dust is also chemical, fiber is also chemical, gas is also chemical, vapor is also chemical. Okay, we can also see here physical hazard. What is called physical hazards? The hazards which can impact on the human body directly or indirectly and make a person sick, illness, injury, that is called physical hazard. Like noise, a person who is exposing to noise continuously can impact on his hearing loss, NIHL. Okay, noise induced hearing loss. Okay, vibration can create several diseases like hand arm vibration syndrome. Okay, even though numbness, okay, and no, we can say numbness, heaviness, and pain. Okay, radiation, there are 2 types of radiations, heat, so it's all called physical hazards. Okay, this is according to occupational health and safety. We will again study that the form of hazards. Okay, so be with me. So chemical and physical. Now we are here, biological hazard. What is biological hazard? Bio means any hazard which occurred because of biological agent or biological microorganisms, that is called biological hazard. Okay, like bacteria, fungus, virus, human endoparasites, psychosocial like stress, substance misuse, violence at the work. These all are called psychosocial hazards. So it's very important. That's why I brought this point here before going in the detail of occupational health and safety. These points we must know that suppose one is lab technician, he is lab technician. So he can expose to bacteria, fungus, virus or any parasites because he is going for medical test like a stool, blood, urine. So he can expose to these things, So psychosocial, suppose my boss doesn't want me to keep on the position and he is always threatening me because of my good behavior. Moreover, despite of that, I am getting threat. So that is called a stress. That's called a stress, workplace stress, workplace violence. Even though he used to come in my office and secretly he's telling that, my friend, I don't want to keep you because he has some personal issue with me. That's why he doesn't want to keep me here. Okay, so that's called workplace violence. Ergonomics, all the safety officers, supervisors, managers, and all those working staffs, they are sitting continuously in the office. They are exposing to postures, ergonomics. Okay, so posture, workplace layout, the area is very congested. There is one table and 2 persons are sitting from face to face. This is the table, one person is sitting from this side, another is sitting from this side, and they each of them are looking at each other. They cannot talk each other, they cannot attend the meeting, because a person cannot be concentrated throughout the day while he is working in the office. Sometimes he has to make a yawing, Sometimes he has to drink water, sometimes he has to take rest, sometimes he has to attend the call. Same time both persons are receiving the call and they are getting puzzled. They are getting, we can say they get puzzled and irritated because he is shouting somebody, he is receiving the call from someone. So that's called workplace layout. The area is very congested, it's dark, improper lighting, there is no proper ventilation, materials are excreted on the ground, files are kept here, we can say printing machine is here, there is no space on the table, he cannot put his mouse properly. So this is called workplace layout. So these all are called hazards. So we have to remember while we are going for risk assessment or hazards identification. Otherwise we cannot be a good professional and cannot find out all the hazards related to the workplace. Okay, we already discussed 5 types of hazards. Now we are also going to discuss about form of hazards. That was classification as per occupational health and safety. Now we can discuss about form of hazard. And hazards के रूप. Okay, so let's discuss here. You can see physical, already we discussed about physical hazards. So physical hazards, okay, physical hazards can be, you can see engulfment, overpressure, trip, slip and falls. Okay, as I told you that the area, suppose this is your office area, and the cleaner is doing the cleaning this surface. Suddenly you are coming from this area, okay, and you are talking to your boss or you are receiving the call from someone and you are very busy and you are traveling from here to there and you couldn't see that there is no any signage. Like when the cleaners are generally, when the cleaners are cleaning the area, they put some signage that the surface is slippery. Okay, slippery triangle hazards are there. So if nothing is here, you can cross this one and you can slip and you can fall. That called slip, trip and fall. Crushing hazards, okay. So these physical hazards are also categorized in mechanical and non-mechanical. We will discuss later on. Okay, so fire, explosion, corrosion, thermal decomposition, water reactivity hazards. Each of these is discussed in more detail. Yes, we will discuss in more detail. Okay, so this is called physical hazard. The hazard which directly impact on human body and cause some risk or injury is called physical hazard. Okay, so physical hazards, there we can go for some physical hazards are here. Okay, I will go in the chemical hazards, biological hazards, environmental hazards, mechanical hazards, fire hazards, electrical hazards. Okay, now we can see here classification of hazards. Okay, as per BS EN ISO 12100, identify the hazards in 2 sections, that is called mechanical and non-mechanical. Non-mechanical hazard. This point we need to remember always while we are going for risk assessment, hazard identification plan we are doing, or hazard identification and management. We have to go through these points. So you know that we have BS. BS means British standard. We have EN, European nation. We have American standard like OSHA, NIOSH, NFPA. Okay, so these are the standards. So as per BS and a British standard, as per British standards, hazards have been categorized generic machinery, and this is the reference BS EN ISO 12100 identify mechanical hazards. So these all are mechanical hazards. What are these? Crushing, shearing, cutting and severing, entanglement, drawing and trapping, impact, stabbing, puncture and ejection, friction, abrasion, high pressure fluid injection. So these are called mechanical hazards. These are called mechanical hazards. We will go in next slide with the picture, so it will be easy for you to understand. Okay. Types of mechanical hazards. You can see here crushing. Two objects are here. This is the object and this is both are object. Your hand is going to penetrate here and suddenly this object is coming closer, and in between that your hand is going to be crushed. Hand is going to be crushed. That is called crushing. Okay. Shearing, like this is the paper. This is the paper or some object, and this is sharp object. This is sharp things. It is going to tear up. Okay. Shearing, it is going to shear. Okay. You can see here cutting and severing. Your hand is going to be directly contact with some sharp rotating part. Sharp rotating part, like you can see here cutter. This is a type of cutter. Okay, and his finger is going to come here. So it is called cutting and severing. So my purpose to show this picture to understand you and to keep in your memory while you are going to assessment and site visit, survey, inspection, audit. You must recognize that what type of hazard is this and what is the real name of this hazard. Okay. So crushing, shearing and cutting and severing. Next slide. These all are called mechanical hazards. You can see here entanglement. Entanglements, a man who has some scarf, jewelry, we are covering our face, we are keeping some scarf on our shoulder, so it is going to entangle with the rotating part of any equipments, and it can draw back you and you will be called entangled, entrapped. Okay, it is called entangled, or we can say also trapped. You can see here drawing. This is conveyor. Okay, and this part is going to be trapped. His hand is going to be trapped here, so it is going to pull him into rotating part. Okay, you can see the impact. Suppose excavator is running there and we are standing behind it. If we are very close to that and suddenly the operator is going to turn the basket or excavated fork and the man is going to impact it. That is called impact. So we have to remember the correct word for the correct observation, and that is called correct hazard identification. Otherwise we can do the mistake, and we are generally doing the mistake because of this. We couldn't remember, we couldn't memorize it. So we need to memorize it for risk assessment and hazard identification and to become a good safety professional. Okay, let's go forward. Even though you can say stabbing and puncturing. Stabbing means to chaku maar dena, no? That's called stabbing. Like you part of body can get punctured, that is called stabbing and puncturing. You can see this man is doing his work, and suppose he is putting something like this. This hand is very close to the screwdriver, and the hand is slipped and it's penetrating his body. That's called penetration to a skin and body. Friction and abrasion. Okay, while we are doing the investigation, these words are very important to make the investigations, near misses, accident, incident investigations. Okay, high fluid injection. Even though there is some flying particles that can also impact on your body, that's called also injection, like fluid injection. Now we are going to discuss non-mechanical hazards. Non-mechanical hazards, it's also under BS ISO 12100. 12100. We need to remember this number, and this is the reference number of British standard. Okay, BSEN, British standard and European nation. Okay, remember these points. Okay, so there is noise, absolutely we are exposing on daily basis with the noise, vibration, absolutely the workers are doing, like they are applying the Hilti, they are doing some manual work, you know. Electricity, yes, absolutely. High low temperature, that's called heat stress, you know, suddenly we see the heat stress. Radiation, hazardous substance like any chemical. So these are called non-mechanical hazards. So we have two types of hazards, mechanical, non-mechanical. In the previous slide we came to know that there are 5 types of hazards: physical, biological, chemical, and socio-psycho and environmental. Okay, now we came across mechanical hazards. Okay, so entanglement, stabbing, puncture, shearing, cutting, abrasion, you know, impact. So those all were mechanical. Now these all are non-mechanical. It's clear? So we have to remember this point: noise, vibration, electricity, high low temperature, radiation, and hazardous substance. So I thought that your concept is almost clear about what is hazards and how many types of hazards are. Okay, this point, how hazards are impacting on human body. How? You can see here degree of hazards. Okay, suppose we have 1, 2 and 3. It is called minor, severe, yeah, we can say moderate, we can say major here, moderate, major, and third one is called severe, or we can say catastrophic. Okay, so this is called degree. This is called 1, 2 and 3. This is called level and degree. Okay, this is called 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so how the hazards impact on your body? Nature of material and energy. What is nature of material and energy? What type of material is this? What is the impact of that? And how severe it is going to impact? Now, that's why we have acute exposure and chronic exposure. We will discuss later. And what is the severity of that? How chemical is that? That's why the chemical has, we can say, irritant, corrosive, harmful, toxicity. Even though we can discuss that mutagenic, tetragenic, no, so carcinogenic. So that is the, because of that, how the material is and how it is going to impact. Intensity of the exposure, how it is going to expose, like it is acute or chronic, like tenure of exposure and duration of exposure. Okay, the form of material, what is type of material, the ingredients of the material, intensity of exposure and duration of exposure. These 3 points we need to remember while we are going to assess the exposure of any degree of hazards. So we can go for the next slide. Today this portion was very important.